and we have taken several steps for the welfare, including 100% reimbursement of vaccination fees for those opting for vaccination at private establishments. We have also offered 100% pay to those employees who are not in a position to work from home. Now moving on to financial performance for the last quarter, I am delighted to share that our an increase of 21.09% over the corresponding period last year. And for the financial year 2020-21, it is rupees 1387.47 crores, which is 23.87% up over last year. EBITDA stood at rupees 73.36 crores in Q4 of FY 2021, up 34.73%. And for the FY 2021, it is rupees 302.81 crores, up 52.50% over last year. EBITDA margin improved from 23.93% in Q4 of FY 19-20 to 26.62% in Q4 of FY 2021, and improved from 17.73% in FY 19-20 to 21.82% in FY 2021, which is an improvement of 409 bps inclusive of other incomes. Profit after tax is at rupees 68.64 crores in Q4 FY 2021, up 24.78% compared to the corresponding period last year. And it is rupees 210.56 crores in FY 2021, up 48.85% year-on-year basis. Tax margin improved from 17.13% in Q4 of FY 19-20 to 17.65% in Q4 of FY 2021, and improved from 12% in FY 19-20 to 15.8% FY 2021, an increase of 255 bps. I would like to place on record my deep appreciation to all the stakeholders for their continued support to the company, and due to their good wishes, Dhanuka is able to perform all-time record results in top line and bottom line. The Board of Directors has recommended 100% dividend, that is rupees 2 per equity share, having face value of rupees 2 per share, which will absorb rupees 9.32 crores, subject to approval of the shareholders' 6th annual general meeting scheduled on 29th July 2021. Friends, the zone-wise percentage share of turnover 31st March 2021 is Zone 25.84%, East Zone 11.14%, West Zone 31.76%, and South Zone 31.26%. The was 41.0%, fungicides 9.78%, herbicides 29%, and others 12.39%. The last year monsoon support the business, and as per IMD report, the monsoon is expected to be normal in this year as well. This has brought a smile on the faces of the farmers. The monsoon onset date is June 1st, 2021 in Kerala, and it is expected to progress fast to Karnataka, Goa, and other states gradually. Area under summer crops have shown an increasing trend in the country this year. The Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare has informed that sowing of summer crop is 21.5% higher this year in comparison to corresponding period last year. The total crop area has increased to 7.37 million hectares from 6.07 million hectares. The area sown under pulses, oilseeds and rice has increased this year. Sowing of pulses has increased to 1.28 million hectares, which shows nearly 100% increase. Area sown under oilseeds have increased to 1.05 million hectares, which is 16% higher from previous year. Sowing of rice has also increased to over 3.9 million hectares, which is an increase of around 16% in comparison to last year. It is expected that in this Kharif season, the sowing of the soybean, pulses and other oilseeds will be higher because the farmers are getting very good rates for these crops, and the sowing for cotton acreages will be reduced to some extent. The company will work towards engaging with all the participants across the value chain, both upstream and downstream, to deliver a strong Kharif season and build a solid momentum for the FY 21-22. As discussed last time, the company has also started working on its project situated at Bangalore to the.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. This is the conference operator. I'm disconnecting your line and reconnecting you again, sir, because we are losing the audio.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay connected till I reconnect the management. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the management line reconnected to the call. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
As discussed last time, the company has started, although the progress is.
Hello, sir. We are unable to hear you, sir.
I don't know what is the reason.
Sir, is there any other number? Just give me a minute.
Can we start question answer? Hello?
Hello, Malika.
Manishi?
Yes, sir. This Malika, are you there?
We have the management line reconnected. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, Malika, we can start the question and answer session, please.
Okay, sir.
I'm just finishing. The company has a strong pipeline of Section 93 products which should drive the revenue growth in coming years. We have received 193 registration, which is a herbicide, which the company will launch in Q2, and another 93 registration is expected to be launched in Q3 of the financial year. Mr. R.V. Agarwal, Chairman of the company, has received an award as Business Leader of the Year by World Leadership Conclave on 17th February 2021, and Mr. B.K. Bansal, CFO, has been bestowed with CFO 100 Award in March 21. Thank you very much for your kind attention. We will now take the question from you which you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1 now. We would like to remind participants that you may press star 1 to ask a question. The first question is from the line of Rohit Natraj from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir, and congrats for a very good set of numbers during COVID-affected year. So my first question is in terms of our in-licensed molecules. So how the revenue from in-licensed molecules has changed over the last maybe 4-5 years? What is the proportion maybe in FY21? And how do you see it over the next maybe 3 to 5 years? Because we have garnered a significant amount of relationships with a few of the global agrochemical majors and introduced a spate of products in the Indian market. So how has been the performance, if you could just take through the journey, and how are we expecting in the next few years? Thank you so much.
Bansalji, you would like to reply the question?
Mr. Bansal?
Hello, I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you see percentage share from in-licensed molecules is around 40%, and it has improved over a period of time by 2-3%, by 200-300 basis points basically.
Yes, and so how are we seeing this in the next 3 to 5 years? So will there be any significant focus from our own R&D end to introduce 9094, or would there be more focus of in-licensed molecules? Thank you.
I think in-licensed molecule percentage share will remain in current in line with the current percentage share. It may improve by another 100 basis points.
Sure. Thank you. Understood. So the second question is in terms of the greenfield capex for the Dahej. Any development, and if you could just share a little more on this particular aspect? Thank you.
Yeah, in case of Dahej, work is already been started, but because of COVID situation, there was a little bit delay. But we are expecting our phase 1 shall be completed by March 22, and phase 2 must be completed by March 23.
Right, and have we already received the EC for the same, or is it under progress?
Could you repeat the question, please?
The environmental clearance, have we already received it, or is it under progress as of now?
It is, I think, is under progress.
Sure. Thank you, sir. I'll come back to you. And best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Salil Dalal from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes. So, sir, I had a question on distribution margin on your products. So if you're typically, what would that be? for example, if you sell a particular product at 100 rupees, what is the price the farmer would pay to the retailer? Hello?
Bansali, you are replying the question?
Yeah, you see, you are saying if the distributor price is 100, what is the price to farmer, right?
Yeah, yes, correct, sir.
You see, it again depends. Normally, from distributor to farmer, there should be a difference of around 20 to 25%. But in some molecules, the difference is very less. Those who are very much generic or big brands. And in case of certain molecules like 9(3) and all, the margin is slightly higher. But on a overall basis, there should be a difference of around the price, including GST to distributor and the farmer price. There should be a difference between 25 to 30%.
25. Right, sir. Understood. And so for the products that we have, your the chemicals and insecticides and everything, what are the direct substitutes that are available in the market, and how are they priced, relative to Dhanuka Agritech?
Could you repeat the question?
So the typical product portfolio that we have, what are the direct substitutes available in the market, and how are they priced relative to our product portfolio?
Yeah, so there are many substitutes available for the products we are marketing, except there may be a few products which are specially available with Dhanuka. You would be aware Dhanuka is having tie-ups with several multinational companies, and through these multinational companies, we have some specialty molecules which are available with few companies only, and they are for specific segments. But most of the products, they have some or the other substitute available in the market.
Right, sir. And so the products that have substitutes in the market, how would we be priced relative to them?
Again, there will be a very wide range because for the same problem, the generic product would be a lower price, and specialty molecules would be could be double of the price of the generic molecule.
Understood, sir. Thank you so much. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Varun Gupta from RA Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Congratulations for the good set of numbers, and thank you for taking my question. Just wanted to know, have you received any tie-ups with Japanese company to manufacture special molecule in India at your new facility at Dahej? And secondly, okay, please.
No, we have not received any Japanese product for manufacturing at Dahej because there was question chicken first or egg first. So we were basically discussing for providing the product, but the Japanese companies were talking that you don't have any plans where really will manufacture the product. So now we have decided to put up the facility, and Japanese are very basically, you can say, fussy. So they would first like to visit the plant, and then they will decide to share the molecule with Dhanuka.
Okay, but we are in talks with them on this.
Yeah, because we have very good relationship with number of Japanese companies, so we are in talks with them.
Okay, and what is the view on biopesticides and any future plans to venture into biopesticides?
Right. So biopesticides can be divided into 2 segments. One is bio nutrients or biofertilizer, which Dhanuka is already marketing since quite many years. Last year, the government has introduced a new guideline wherein all these products will be covered under the FCO, the Fertilizer Control Order. Other than that, the biocontrols, which control the insects or the fungus, are at a very nascent stage in the Indian market, but definitely they will have a play going forward in the near future.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Himanshu Upadhyay from PTI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, and congratulations on good set of numbers. My first question is, we have seen significant issues on the rural side, okay, because of COVID. What are you seeing on the cropping, and how do you see this will impact the business? Can you elaborate some more on this?
So this is really indeed unfortunate that COVID-linked situation has spread into rural markets, and we are facing the challenge of healthcare facilities available in the hinterland. Now, while it is happening in the middle of off-season of agriculture. April and May are just pre-monsoon, and farmer is just getting ready for the agriculture. I really hope that as monsoons approach, and looking at the current commodity prices and trend, and government's effort to catch up on COVID control measures, we will be much better off by the time sowing is happening and farmer is ready for agri input.
Is it impacting currently the demand in the market? What's your sense, or you think?
These are not the relevant months for demand. What we saw last year was pretty unlike situation where there was aggressive and speculative purchase. So that speculative purchase is not happening, yet the business is not bad.
Okay. And the backward integration or API, so the capex what we are doing, have we fixed the products, or what is the thought process? Can you elaborate on that? We had announced that.
Initially, we are putting up the formulation unit, which will, we hope that will be completed by March 2022. Then we will be putting up one multi-purpose insecticide plant, where we would like to manufacture synthetic pyrethroids, which includes cypermethrin, bifenthrin, lambda-cyhalothrin, etc. And after that, we will be putting up a multi-purpose weedicide plant. And later on, since we have huge land available, 142,000 square meter area is available with Dhanuka. So we will wait for our Japanese collaborators to basically have some tie-up with us, and then we would like to go for some backward integration for intermediates or some other technical on custom synthesis basis, and on basically you can say job work basis, etc. So we hope that a lot of exports will also happen once we enter into the technical manufacturing, because exports are increasing. The overall exports are higher in comparison to domestic consumption.
So currently the focus would be on the formulations only for next 2 years in capex, and after that the backward integration will get into, or will start spending on backward integration. Would that be the right thing to say?
Yeah. From FY 22-23 formulations will start, and FY 23-24 the technical production will start.
Okay. And the overall capex what you are getting, or from FY 22-24 means 3 years?
Overall capex in the range of around 300 CR.
Okay. Thank you from my side then. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Viraj from Securities Investment Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity and congratulations for good set of numbers. I just had 3 questions. First is, last year in the same quarter, we had seen some postponement of sale into Q1. So how much that sale was, if you can give any?
It was approximately 10 to 12 crore.
Okay. And just a related question is, you talked about overall demand still not being that great compared to last year, but so just trying to understand this a little better, is there now a normalization in terms of placement cycle you see, or there's still some kind of preponement in the placement cycle we are seeing because of the rising rural cases, COVID cases in rural markets?
Could you repeat that question?
So are we still seeing any acceleration in placements and pickup at the retail farmer level, or there is still kind of, or compared to the previous cycles, it's still kind of normal right now?
I think so. Last year was an unprecedented year when there was postponement of March sales into Q1 and preponement of some Q2 sales into Q1, and also some panic buying by the channel. So all these three things are not happening this year, and what we are witnessing is a normal season driven by commodity prices, rainfall and irrigation availability.
Okay. And just last question was on the RM inflation. What we understand is a lot of players have taken price increase in Q4 as well. So for us, what kind of price increase you would have taken in the generic and the specialty portfolio?
So as a matter of practice, we review our RM cost cycle, and then the effort is to pass on the cost to the end user farmer. And that is what we have done in Q4 also, and ongoingly we'll be doing it this quarter as well.
So typically, what kind of price increase you would have taken, and would that be sufficient to cover the RM inflation we've seen so far?
Oh yes, absolutely. It's more than sufficient to cover the RM cost increase and its impact.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Resham Jain from DSP Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and congratulations on a very eventful year. So I have two questions. So first is on the crop side, soya is seeing a very good year, and expected, as you mentioned in the opening remarks as well, acreage should increase. And historically, we had a very good market share within the soya portfolio, which somehow has not done well over the last few years in terms of the soya acreage itself. So any expectation from your soya portfolio, especially Targa Super, which was a kind of a blockbuster product earlier. So any thoughts over there?
Hi. So thanks for bringing up the brand name Targa Super, an all-time favorite with the farmer and with me also. Targa Super has done really well last year because it finds favor with oilseed and pulses and cotton and groundnut and soybean. Now, Government of India has made special efforts every year, especially for increasing pulses and oilseed area, and recent announcements you would have seen that there is a special effort being made to increase oilseed acreages, including soybean and groundnut. So we foresee good traction on Targa Super, Sakura and Max Soya, our specialty offering for soybean, cotton and almost all pulses and oilseeds. Increased area of pulses and oilseeds is extremely favorable for Dhanuka portfolio.
Okay. Understood, sir. And sir, given that the last 2 years, especially last 18 months, have been a very strong year for us compared to the whole industry. So if you can share general increase in your market share as in within the industry, and also your expectation for FY22. How do you see the overall growth on a good base which you have seen in the last 18 months? Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
It is in the difficult times that the real test of the processes and the relationship is tested. And it was in last financial year 2021 that our relationship with our channel was put up to test. and vice versa. We were able to reach out to our channel partners very aggressively and support them in this situation of pandemic. Dhanuka was one of the first few companies to have activated operations in early April. As an outcome, we did probably much better than the markets, and our market share has grown in 2021. We are expecting a good performance of monsoon. We are expecting a good performance on commodity prices front, and eventually we really hope to be performing extremely well and above average in this year as well. We are completely prepared and really optimistic about FY22.
Okay. Thank you. Good to hear that. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Varshit Shah from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity and congratulations on a good set of numbers. I think our margin performance is really commendable despite all the challenges. My question is, sir, on the Dahej front. So you mentioned that you will have the formulation unit capex going construction in FY22. So can you break up the timeline of spending 300 crores? So I see that there is a 50 crore increase in the gross block this year. So is that also pertaining to Dahej or is it not pertaining to Dahej? And if you could split the capex spend on year wise.
Right. You see, this year the very insignificant amount of Dahej is nothing, just like that. And this year the increase in fixed assets is coming only because of the lease of this our corporate office. So there is a provision now. We have to create the right to use asset in the corresponding liability in the non-current liability. You will see that. So major increase is around 35 crore is on account of the new office. Right, and in terms of you see breakup of the investment in Dahej, so we are thinking in the year current financial year 21-22 we are expecting an investment of around 80 to 90 crore and around 130 crore in the year 2, that is 22-23, and remaining is 23-24.
Okay, that's helpful. And my second question is, sir, on the FY23 capex for technical manufacturing of largely pyrethroids, and you mentioned some of the names, alluded to some of the names. What is the key reason for selecting this set of molecules? Is it because of availability of raw materials in the vicinity, or and would that be fully backward integrated? That's my first question.
No, they will not be fully integrated. Basically, these molecules are also basically consumed by Dhanuka in its own branded formulations. So we foresee that 40-50% of the basically production will be consumed by Dhanuka in its own formulation. Only 50% capacity we will have to basically market to the other companies. So one is that reason. The second one is the technology is easily available with the vice president which we have appointed, and he is quite familiar with the production of the molecules. So that's why initially we have chosen these molecules to start with, but gradually we would like to go for some specialty molecules by tying up with Japanese companies.
Sure, and one last question from my side. So, do you think that the industry, not specifically asking in guidance, but industry can probably easily cross the double-digit mark in terms of revenue growth for FY22?
Yeah, definitely we are expecting double-digit growth in FY22 also.
So that's great, and all the best.
Thank you, Mr. Varshit.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankit Gupta from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. This is Ritesh Gupta from Kotak. So just two questions from my side. One is on the margin side, because this year the margins have been strong. So if you could just give me some sense in terms of how the raw material prices are behaving in near term and how do you expect them to, how do you expect them to deliver over the next 2-3 quarters? And then the second one is, if you could just highlight some of the key molecules that you have in these 40% in licensing share. So these are the questions from my side.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Gupta. So there is a disturbance coming from your line. Request you to mute your line when the management answers your question.
Yeah, so I had 2 questions. This is Ritesh from Kotak. One is on the margin side, how do you expect the next year to pan out, especially given that last 1 or 2 years have been reasonably good? So in terms of raw material prices, at least at the industry level, how they are behaving, especially the imports from China, etc. And the second one is on the in-licensing share of 40%. If you could just highlight what are the key molecules that you are, what are the key molecules that form that part of 40%? I would understand Targa Super would be one of the largest, but what are the other ones in that?
Yeah. You see, as far as margins are concerned, in terms of gross margin, we are expecting the same level of margin in the year 21-22, despite significant increase in some of the molecules or some of the raw materials. In terms of EBITDA, we would like to see basically have same kind of EBITDA. There could be a little bit 10-20% decline or positivity, that's it, in terms of the margins. And the second part of your question, I will, with regard to the, could you repeat your second part of the question?
Yeah, in licensing share of 40%. So what are the key molecules there in that 40%?
Key molecules are normally one is you see Targa Super, Sakura, Sempra, Konica, Luster, Mordor, Caldan 4G, and then the cover liquid cover phenol. These are the main molecules.
Okay, and this would be in the same order, right? I mean, in terms of the size, these molecules would be in a similar order in terms of the size.
Largely, you are right.
Got it, sir. And just on the gross margin question, you said that some raw material prices have increased, but you still expect your margins to remain pretty much intact as last year on the gross margin at least. So if you could just elaborate a bit on that, is it because of the improving product mix for you, or how does it work? I mean, would you take price hikes?
You see, it is two way. One is, yes, product mix is always there. Number two, we have been able to pass on that increase to the customer.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much. That's it. That's it from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Just seeking a couple of clarification. The line was not audible, so we are looking at the margins, the EBITDA margins to expand. That's how we have put it, right?
No, we are not looking for. We are saying we'll try to maintain that same level of EBITDA. So there is a significant improvement in the EBITDA margin this year. So we are saying we'll try to maintain the same level of EBITDA margin in the current financial year.
Okay. And second clarification I was seeking was, you gave a comment that there was some channel filling and preponement which happened in Q1 last year. So you were referring to a high base for Q1, but for FY22 you expect to grow the business. That's how you mentioned. I was confused in these two different comments.
Could you repeat your question, please?
I said, sir, you mentioned to one of the participants that Q1 last year had channel filling and some preponement of business of Q2 into Q1 and some postponement of business from Q4 into Q1. That's how you mentioned. So you were referring to a high base of Q1. That's how you were putting it, and you expect 22 to grow, or I was confused in these comments actually.
Yeah, you see, that's right. Last year Q1 was unprecedented, and this year we are not expecting any growth in Q1 because last year the growth was more than 70% in the Q1 because of the postponement of the Q4 of the previous year and the preponement of the sale of the Q2 of that particular year. So this year there should be some decline in the Q1 numbers in terms of the top line.
Okay. And lastly, sir, one more question. What is the status on that 27 products to be banned, which was supposed to be reviewed and banned by in India? So any update there?
Yeah, so that subject is on hold, and the government is not moving on the banning of those 27 products, which was also, according to us, was not a rational approach. We had directly and through our associations represented to the government to take a rational approach towards offering farmer variety of choice of specialty products as well as generic products. And as of now, that is what is prevailing, and all the products are available to the Indian agriculture.
Okay. Thank you very much, and all the best and stay safe, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Vora from Mission Holdings. Please go ahead.
So thank you for opportunity. You mentioned about the double-digit growth. Is it based on the number of acreage showing more, or what are the criteria which will lead to double-digit growth?
The primary criteria around double-digit growth are two. One is good irrigation opportunity. So we have a good monsoon forecast and a lot of irrigation opportunity which has been activated by recharging of groundwater and expansion of canal irrigation and expansion of electricity availability. So that is number one, availability of irrigation through monsoon and otherwise. Number two is commodity prices. So we are looking at commodity prices already going up and in future also expanding, especially when we are looking at oil seeds and pulses. Dhanuka has a special position in oil seeds and pulses portfolio, and we are looking at these two segments expanding significantly in the country because of one, direct demand. You are aware that India imports a lot of food oil, which is palm oil from Malaysia and Indonesia. So we want to substitute that from local production of oil seed. And we also import a lot of pulses for the protein consumption of largely vegetarian population. So India is also working on a lot of substitution of pulse import by increasing acreage. Government of India, all the state governments are supporting that big time. That is what we are banking our growth plans on.
Right. My second question is about the Japanese tie-up. You mentioned that once the plant will be ready, then the Japanese will come for inspection, and then something can happen. So what are the quantum we are talking about? What is the size of this business from Japanese?
So as of now, we are sticking to the fact that we are putting up a technical plant which will support us big time in our own captive consumption and growth in the domestic market. It will also give us opportunity to look into export markets and export opportunity. You would appreciate that formulation business versus a diversified backward integration business is completely different. That's a different opportunity which we will explore as we go forward.
Okay, understood. But I could not see any major CWIP in your balance sheet. So is this the plan is still early stage or?
Yeah, you will see CWIP in the current financial year, which means the next year basically, because investment has to be made in this financial year. Last year there was hardly any investment.
All right. Okay, wish you all the best. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chintan Modi from Haitong Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Modi. So there is a disturbance coming from your line, sir.
Yes. Yeah, I hope I'm good now.
Yes, sir.
So my question is on the receivable days improvement that we have seen during the year. Do you expect that to kind of remain at same levels during the next year, or there could be some reversal?
You see, there was a big improvement in the last year. Our average debt collection period was reduced by 20 days. So momentum is maintained, and we are expecting to maintain the same level. But yes, 5-7 days, deterioration cannot be overruled. However, we are trying to maintain the same level.
Okay, got it. And secondly, sir, can you quantify what is the average price hike that you would have taken?
Average price for what?
Price hike recently to compensate for the cost increase.
Cost increase, you see, the cost increase was basically in few generics, not all the brands. So, you see, in some molecules, we were able to pass on the entire increase to the customer. In some molecules, there is a delay of 15 days or 1 month. So, overall, we have been able to pass on. Because of that only, we were able to maintain our gross margins. Otherwise, it is very difficult to maintain the same GP level.
No, I understand that, sir. So, for the next year, for the upcoming Kharif season, what is the effective price hike that you would have taken? Is what I'm trying to understand.
Effective price for what purpose you are telling? I could not get you actually.
The products that we sell, the average price hike across.
You see, average price we normally take the same as the prevailing price which is in the previous financial year. Normally.
Okay, sir. Could you give what was the split last year? So, of the 24% growth, what was the volume growth rate and what was the price-related growth rate?
That's right. So, the price growth was less than 1% as a whole.
Sorry, I didn't catch that, sir. Can you please?
You see, yeah, our overall growth was 23.87% type. So, volume growth was little lower by around 0.5%. So the price increased by around 0.5%.
Yeah. So that same price hike that I'm talking about this year, how much effective price hike that we can expect? That is what I'm talking about.
So basically, I am expecting another 1 to 1.5% increase in the price as a whole.
Okay, and that will be sufficient to kind of maintain your gross margins that you are saying. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, sir. That's it from my end. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepak Kole from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir, and congratulations for good set of numbers. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, my first question is, sir, can you please guide on which are the products you are going to launch in the next 1 or 2 years, and how do you see the innovation turnover index moving currently?
Yeah. So in current year, we are expecting to launch 2 9(3) products, and in next financial year also we'll be launching 2 9(3) products. And other than this 9(3) products, there would be certain in-license products as well. Talking about ITI index, so financial year 2021, our ITI index is close to 10.5%. And in next year, that is FY 21-22, we are expecting it to be close to 12%.
Okay. And sir, also, can you please once again repeat the zone-wise and segment-wise the revenue breakup for fourth quarter?
You see, zone-wise sale is the immediate number available for the year. The north contribution is 26%, east is 11%, west is 32%, and the south is 31%.
Okay, sir. Mm-hmm. And segment-wise, sir?
Segment-wise, you see, if we talk about the year, the insecticide contributes 41%, fungicide is 17%, herbicide 30%, and the others is 12%. If we talk about the quarter, insecticide 50%, fungicide 17%, herbicide 21%, others is 12%.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. That is from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohan Gupta from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening, sir.
So first question is Rahul. Rahul, we have seen that in the current year, definitely the rural market is impacted by COVID, but there is a lot of support given by the government, similarly like last year. We have also seen that agri commodity prices across have gone up, and so as also to likely to benefit to the farmers. In such a condition, just wanted to understand from you how is net farmers' cash positions are vis-a-vis last year. Are they still better off, or it's poorer than last year? That is one. And second, do you see that this rising commodity prices is going to have a much positive impact on overall agri input industry demand?
Right. That's a very encompassing question, Rohan. And you would notice that the government is literally going all out to support the farmer and the agriculture. In terms of the cash flow, if we look at, then a big chunk of cash flow comes to farmer from the direct purchases by Food Corporation of India or Cotton Commission of India. Now, in North India, what we are witnessing is that government is doing direct transfer to the farmer's bank account. And so if we were to take this piece as an example, then the cash flow is improving for the farmer with the direct money flowing into his bank account. And he has a better say and control on this money as compared to in past, when the commission agent would have a first say and control on the money. So farmer's cash flow to that extent would increase. Opening of e-NAM and weekly markets and other mechanisms being adopted by the government would also actually improve the cash flow. Now, if we look at commodity prices going up, now commodity prices going up would also improve the farmer's cash flow. COVID will continue to run like a wave. From one state, it will go down. In another state, it will catch up. And this is going to remain there for about another 30 to 45 days, as most experts are predicting. By the time central government and the state governments, they catch up with medical facilities and vaccination programs. What we are witnessing now, the COVID wave and absence of agriculture activity is coinciding. April and May and mid-June are not the high activities of agri input or agriculture activity. So if we witness right sowing in the month of June, then agri input industry will certainly witness upside in the coming monsoons.
Okay, and the guidance of Dhanukaji gave roughly double-digit growth in the current year. So can you be more specific, like what kind of volume growth one is looking or you are looking for the current year, sir?
So we are looking at reasonable volume growth, like our MD explained. It would be lower double-digit growth for the year. I think so. I can just simply add there, in terms of the government support, if the fertilizer prices were going up, the government has backed it up with significantly increased subsidy. If the subsidy would not have increased, then the cash flow of the farmer would have diverted towards fertilizer, and other agri inputs like pesticides would have left wanting. With the subsidy being available, the cart is again balanced, and agri inputs like agrochemicals and other agri inputs will certainly stand to gain with opening of pockets by the government. And we certainly expect double-digit volume growth in our portfolio.
Right, sir, right. And just a last question from my side. Sir, in last 2 to 3 years, we have seen that our other expenditures has been almost averaging at close to 130 crore rupees every year. I understand that last year we have also, because of the pandemic year, we have tried to control it as much as possible. So despite a very solid revenue growth, our other expenses didn't increase too much. It has been just averaging at almost 130 crore from last 4 years. Do you see that the current year being a decent year for the agri activities and the revenue growth is already back now? Are we focusing on increasing the farm level activities and the kind of rural spending in terms of advertising, branding, which we used to do earlier, is going to come back in a big way, or still it is going to be controlled and is likely to remain at the same level in absolute term, like 130 to 135 crore in this year also?
Rohanji, you see, last year there is a significant improvement in the expenses in terms of traveling and all. But on an overall basis, yes, you are right, because because of office and all. But this year we are expecting some increase in the other expenses side in the year 21-22, because last year a lot of saving on account of, because we could not do any regular meeting and the distributor meeting. But again, this year the situation of COVID is still persists. So I think the increase must be in some sort of corporate bonding type. Otherwise, all other expenses will remain in line with the last year.
Okay. That's it, sir, from my side. Thank you. I will come back in the queue for any follow-up questions, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Resham Jain from DSP Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Just one more question on the Dahej project. We are investing like 300 crores in phase 1. So, what are the general financial metrics which you feel you are looking at with this 300 crore capex in terms of revenue, asset turns, return ratios? Broadly, if you can explain, once this whole project gets stabilized, let's say 2-3 years down the line, what kind of top line return ratios you typically look at?
Right. You see, the investment of 300 crore not in one phase. We have said we are going to invest around 300 crore in three financial years, which is 21-22, 22-23, and 23-24. Once we see this money is invested, the revenue will start coming in 23-24 itself. And with this investment, we are expecting a revenue to, on a very rough estimate, in the year 23-24 around 200 CR, and by 24-25 and 25-26, and we reach up to 350 crore or more. And secondly, once we know the market with regard to export and the captive consumption and the barter system and all, so incremental capacities can be increased with a very minimal investment. In terms of margin, we have not very concrete idea so far, but we are expecting around 12 to 15% sort of a beta on this turnover.
Okay. Understood, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The last question is from the line of Probal Sen from Centrum Broking. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Dhanuka sir, just wanted to understand the first phase that you mentioned about the Dahej expansion. FY23, what can we sort of look forward to in terms of actual impact on the business? This is, from what I could understand, it's not so much the incremental revenue, but it is also about improvement in terms of the raw material cost mix. So for FY23, from phase 1, can we expect a material change in terms of margin profile to the extent of formulations that will be replaced for internal use? And plus, you said 50% of that would be sort of sold to outside parties as well. So how do we look at this for 1 or 2 years down the line?
You see, you are saying what should be the improvement in our margin because of captive consumption of technical, if I understood correctly your question, right?
Yeah, you said, sir, for the phase 1, you mentioned that 50% of what we will manufacture in terms of the formulation will be consumed in-house. So I presume that the intention to do this is that you can make them at a cheaper cost than what it costs to purchase it today. Correct?
You see, when we are saying we will be able to generate around 12 to 15% EBITDA on the technical plant, which means what? Which means assuming there will not be any impact in Dhanuka, because if we add margin there, so we cannot add margin both sides. Number 1. Number 2, as far as consumption is a very rough estimate. Could be lower than that, right? It depends. If we consume 40% or 50%, we are assuming while consuming in Dhanuka Agritech, we are taking the price as per the selling price to others. Am I able to answer your question?
Yeah. Got it. And sir, the second last question from my side was when it comes to the growth guidance, which you're talking about double digits, anything that can change in the next 3 months? I mean, what I mean is that as you mentioned that you are building in the estimates based on the next 30 to 45 days being the peak to be, sort of being hit in most of the states or in the rural parts. So if the vaccination drive is slower or if the pain in the rural areas prolongs, there is a small downside risk to these growth guidance?
Well, COVID-related uncertainty is extremely difficult to forecast. We do hope that agriculture would continue to be the lever of economy and would not let us down. So, rest of it is speculative.
Right, sir. Fine, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it, and congratulations on a great set of numbers.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Manish Mahawar for closing comments.
Yeah, thank you, Malika. On behalf of Antique Stock Broking, I would like to thank the team of Dhanuka Agritech for providing us an opportunity to hold the call. Dhanuka ji, would you like to make a closing comment, sir?
Yeah. I would like to reiterate that due to good monsoon projection and availability of water in the reservoirs, Dhanuka is expecting very good growth in financial year 21-22 also. We continue our endeavor so that Dhanuka perform better than the industry average and delivers its best to meet the expectation of all stakeholders, including the farmers and shareholders. I wish that the monsoon remains very good as per the forecast of the IMD, and the Indian farming community reaps a good harvest in the ensuing Kharif season as they did in the last Rabi season. Agriculture is the backbone of the Indian economy, and Indian farming community is dependent on agriculture for their bread and butter. So even if COVID pandemic pertains, basically farmer don't have the choice. He has to basically go for sowing and do agriculture. So I don't foresee any major impact because of the COVID on agriculture sector. Even the government is talking that there will be all-time food grain production will be all-time record high in this year as well as the coming year. So I hope that in times to come, the Indian farming community will be benefited from the government's initiative, and the agri-input industry will also get the advantage of that. Wishing you all health and safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of Antique Stock Broking, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you will now disconnect your lines.
Thank you.